even any one of our admin who does not know anything about sales, if she goes to 100 doors in a day and asks them, do you want to buy or sell? Simple, just this question, no skill set, nothing. I can guarantee out of 100, 2, 3 people will say yes for sure.
Welcome back to the Full Out Real Estate Agent. I'm your host, Mark Faris. Today we have Parveen Arora. Parveen has done over 4,000 transactions, $3.5 billion in real estate sales. He continuously sells around 250 to 300 transactions each and every year. Average sale price around 1.3 million. And he services the Brampton, Mississauga area just outside of Toronto. Has 30 agents, 5 admin, 2 marketing, an operations manager, and a staging company. Parveen, welcome to the call.
Mark, thanks for having me over.
Yeah. So Parveen, let's go back to the very beginning. Tell us the origin story. What got you into real estate?
Actually, Mark, I was working in a company, Unilever Canada, that time. And because there was a shift work at that time, and shift work, the night shift, that was very difficult. Sometimes you are working in the daytime and afternoon and nighttime. And one of my cousin, he was in a business that time. He was always asking me, why don't you start something too? And I was seeing, real estate agents that they have the nice cars and, nice clothes. So I thought, let's come to this business, and that's how the thought came in my mind.
Mm-hmm. So take us through, you got your real estate license, and take us through that very beginning stage. So you have your license. What was the first thing you did when you got your real estate license? And what year was that? How long ago was that?
It was 2005 when I started.
Okay, so about 20 years ago. So take us through your very first day you had your real estate license. What did you do to actually go and get business to build like this enterprise?
When I started my business, so I spoke with my broker and he told me 2 things regarding this business. Number one, he said database. So Parveen, if you want to successful in this business, build a database. That's why the number one thing he told me. And second thing he told me, do door knocking every day. These are the 2 things. If you do all the time, you will be successful in this business. And the first thing what I did, Mark, I remember that time I used to have a black notebook. And he asked me to write down the name and the phone number of people them. So I used to work in Apotex and I worked in Unilever Canada. So first thing what I did, I wrote down all the names and the numbers those people were working with me there. And at the same time, I start doing door knocking the area where we are dominating right now in the financial drive area. So I start doing door knocking in that area. So I was doing door knocking in the morning. And in the afternoon, I was just coming and sitting at a Petro-Canada gas station because that area was totally new. So I was just sitting there. I was drinking coffee. And then again, I was going back to door knocking and calling those people from my notebook. I still have that notebook where I build my own CRM, just the black notebook, and I write in people's name and the phone number. So that's how I started this.
Oh, man. So take me through, when you were sitting drinking coffee, you did the door knocking in the morning, then you were drinking coffee. What were you doing when you were drinking coffee in the afternoon before you started calling them later on? Were you just kind of relaxing, or were you there to actually have conversations, or what were you doing when you're having coffee there in the afternoon?
So when I was sitting there, Mark, that time nobody was giving me the business. I was doing door knocking, and there are I would say, the legends in this industry. They were dominating in that area. And you interviewed some of them also. They were working in that area that time. So what I was doing, nobody was giving me any opportunity. Even when I was doing the door knocking, they were not even letting me to go inside their house. So it was kind of a little bit disappointing also. And one day I was sitting there, a thought came in my mind, those people are coming here on gas station. Why don't I give my business cards to them? So then I spoke to the guy who was there on the counter. I said, would you mind if I can hand up my business cards to those people, those are walking in the gas station? He said, that's okay. We are okay, because you come here all the time. So then I start giving my business cards to them. And in the meantime, because that was the new development, there is one builder, they started a development there. So they put their trailer there. And then I went to see, what they're doing. They were selling the new homes. They told me, if you introduce us anybody, we will give you $500 referral fees. So then what I did, those people were coming on Petro Canada gas station. I was telling them, this is my business card. I am a real estate agent. But at the same time, if you want to buy house in this area, this is a new development, I can introduce to you the builder. So in the beginning, people were a little bit hesitant. Then slowly, when I was telling them again and again, some of them, they went with me. And eventually what happened, they start buying with that builder. So builder was giving me $500. So I was very happy in those days. Oh, today I made $500. I was working here and I was sitting here. So I took 2, 3 people there, and one of them, they bought it. So I got $500 referral. But later on, those people bought with that builder. That's where I start getting listings from them, Mark, after 2, 3 years when the properties were closing. So that's how I started my journey.
So let me get this straight. So you would go and sit in a gas station, have coffee, and you would hand out business cards to people that were coming in. They fill up their
Right.
gas tank and they want to get a little treat. Instead of paying at the gas tank, they would come in and you'd be sitting there having coffee and you'd be handing out business cards.
That's right. Because in the beginning, I was spending less time. Then later on, sometimes I was drinking 5, 6 coffees there because I was sitting 5, 6 hours, right? Because if you are sitting idle there, they didn't like it. So I was drinking coffee. Then people were coming there. I was handing down my business cards. I was asking them, let's go to that builder's office. It's a very nice development. Let me show you the floor plans. Then they were going with me. And eventually people start buying with that builder.
I'm just going to underline how impressed I am right now because, real estate agents, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, how am I going to get business? I don't know what to do. You just go sit in the gas station and hand out business cards and have conversations. It really doesn't matter what you do as long as you have conversations. And so when you started, you pretty much spent your whole day lead generating. You'd go door knocking, right?
Yes.
And so Chet Holmes, he actually wrote this book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. And in there, he talks about, and I totally agree with this concept, 80% of your time when you start off should be prospecting, generating leads, because you don't know anybody, right? Or you might know a sphere. Like in your case here, you did a few things. Your boss told you about the database, like for 100%, you got to build that up. That makes sense. So he's like, door knock, go door knock, and have your black book and write down all the sphere people that so all of your contacts, which is smart. So door knocking, sphere, and then you did your third one was to go to the gas station and sit. And so it's genius because most agents would go back to their office and drink coffee there. They drink coffee with other agents. They would just drink coffee and there's no buyers or sellers unless maybe you're on duty and you get, calls coming in that way. But you just went to the gas station and that was another form of lead generating, of prospecting. And you got business from that.
That's right. And later on, those bought the houses with the builder over there. They are the one who gave me the listings, because I was meeting them quite often there. I was doing door knocking. Then I was asking them, how is the progress of your house, because I was in that area all the time. My office was about half an hour away from that area. So I was not going to the office in the morning. I was starting door knocking around 8:30 that time. And then in the afternoon, I was coming there, sitting there, sometimes even in the evening, because a lot of people were coming in the evening. Then I figure out even early morning, people were coming at the gas station. Then I start spending even some time before even going to the door knocking. So I was just meeting them there. And even you won't believe it, Mark, that time they were charging us, I think maybe, I don't know, few cents for the photocopy in the office. I didn't have that much money. So I was not making any photocopies. I was just printing the MLS data sheets. Any property was selling in that area. And I was just distributing those ones with my business card to them.
So you wouldn't actually have the sheets. So you would have a business card that you would be, and what you would verbally tell them what the sales were, or can you elaborate on that? I didn't quite catch that thought.
Because, the colored copies were expensive.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that option. Somebody can make the feature sheets or any kind of print sheets for me. I was just printing the MLS data sheet. One of the mentor, I attended an event and then they said, you just print out the MLS data sheet and put sold on that one with the black marker because that was cheaper. So I was just printing those ones and handing them, oh, this house is sold in this area, right?
Smart.
And then I was also getting the builders' brochures. If somebody was talking to me, I was telling them, oh, let me show you the brochures, the
Yeah.
houses builder is selling. Because builder's office was closed on Friday. So Friday, I was having brochure with me and I was sharing that information with the buyers or the prospective buyers, though we were coming on the gas station.
It's so smart. It's so smart. And so this is where one of the big challenges that I think a lot of agents would, they're like, I don't have any money. I can't spend. And they sit in the office, but they don't have the conversations. It's like, you really don't need a lot of money to get started. You really don't. You just need to be like a maniac when it comes down to having conversations. And I think that is such a good lead indicator for sales. And so it's interesting when you look at overall sales, like, I need a sale. A lot of agents are like, I'm looking for a sale. I'm looking for a sale. But the sales, that's not how it works. Sales happen upstream. It happens with having a conversation. And then what happens after a conversation? You have an appointment and you sit down and you talk about what is going to happen on the buying side or on the selling side. You have an appointment. And then the next step is an agreement. You sign them to an agreement, whether it's a buyer agreement or a seller agreement. Then when they're in the agreement, then it's a matter, okay, let's go find the sale at that point. And so it's the steps. And so a lot of people are going for the sale, but they're trying to find somebody that's like in that moment gonna buy or sell. But it's like, you got to start with the conversations to work your way down the line there. And like, your examples are just so real and just so there's wisdom in what you did. You're like, I don't have all this money. I'm not super skilled in sales. It doesn't even really matter. I'm just going to go out and talk. And I would imagine, Parveen, tell me, you probably didn't maybe start great, but I guess over time, I know now you're, one of the top in the entire area, but did you find your skill set started to pick up as you had more conversations?
Definitely, because in the beginning, what I was doing, I didn't have any sales skill, Mark. I was just sharing the information with them. You come on the gas station. Oh, are you interested to buy a brand new house? There is a builder, he's selling that one. This is the price range. That's the only conversation I was doing. And when I was going to their door, I was asking, are you planning to sell your property? State question, that's why I was asking, because nobody was mentoring me, nobody was teaching me anything. Later on, obviously, I had mentors, so they trained me for the different skill set. One more thing funny, what happened from there? Then later on, few other builders came in that area. So then what I did, I went to them, the same thing I repeated there. And some of them, they start offering me 1% commission from $500. And then I came to know in Toronto area, builders are giving commission on the condos. That time, that thing was very new. So then what I did, I still remember, I went to the one builder's office in Toronto, Lantara. So then I figure out they were still paying the commission that time. And what I did, Mark, for the condos, I got some flyers printed because that time I was financially better, more comfortable. And I stand, outside the which station on the Young Street, the main Union Station. And in the morning, those people were coming out from the Union Station. So I was handing down them the flyers there. And you won't believe it, in one condo project, I sold 23 units in one day.
No. Just because you were
23
handing out so they're walking off the train pretty much.
That's
So
right.
you're handing
I
them,
was just distributing them.
you would hand them the information for the condo and they would call you
Yes.
and you did
Those
20.
23, those 23 units were not from there, from the other sources also, but that was the huge success in one shot. We sold 23 units. That time I have another one agent with me who was partners with me. So both of us, we were working on that condo project, but same thing we were doing, just standing outside the station, whoever was coming out of the station, and some of them just throwing flyer on us too, but we were
Yeah.
continuous and we were just handing down the flyers.
It's interesting that many hardworking, say, entrepreneurs would see you out there handing those out. And the ones that really understand that maybe started from nothing, that had to go through that same early stage, they would probably respect that. They respect the fact that you are hustling and you're working. You got off your ass. You got out there in the world, and you're willing for people to maybe throw it back at you, like you had said. But they respect that, and I would imagine some of them would say, you know what, that I'm going to give that person a call. I'm going to give them a shot because I saw how hard they were working, and I want to reward that. I would think that's, I mean, it's interesting that I've seen through the years when I started, I did a lot of door knocking. And for years after, I had people calling me and saying, hey, listen, you door knocked like 5 years ago. And I remember you door knocked on my door and we're ready to sell now. And it's interesting when you started diving in, they really respected the fact that, I was out there door knocking in winter blizzards. Do you think that's the same for you? Do you think that was part of it for you, why you had some phone calls?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Even right now, because then we repeated that thing few times, even with my team. I used to take my team members with me. Even in downtown Toronto, we were handing down the flyers there.
Yeah.
And even nowadays, sometimes, what happens, I get a phone call from somebody and they tell me, oh, we met you about 14, 15 years ago. Oh, we met you at that place.
So good.
And now they are calling to sell their property.
So good. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. So here's the thing. Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you do something, as long as you have the conversations, because it's interesting. Even if you're like, that didn't work, maybe you had 100 conversations and there was nothing. What you did is you planted 100 seeds, and those seeds, a lot of times, those seeds do not sprout for a year or 2 years or 3 years. Now, what I did was when I had a lead, I would actually write it down and I would go back and I would maybe deliver something. I would put some more fertilizer on that seed, right? When somebody was thinking about buying or selling, I put some fertilizer, and that actually helped to increase that number of the amount of people that would actually call back. But you don't take for granted the seeds that are being planted, because every conversation you have, if you make it very clear what the next step is and make sure that they have your contact. A lot of times they may not even have your contact, but they'll find you, right? They'll find you. But if you can make it clear what the next step is for them, you planted a seed. And the key is, like, if I was to say one lesson to agents out there and how to be more successful, it's so simple. I wish there was like something more complex that I'd be some sort of genius. It's just as have more conversations, not one day in a row, not 2 days in a row, but consistently. You do it day after week, after month, after year. And over time, all of a sudden you have a business. But if you don't get out and have those conversations on an ongoing basis. And so, Parveen, for you, like, there's no excuses, right? You just went to the train station and handed out flyers. You sat in the gas station and just started having conversations. You go where people are. That's why door knocking is a good potential. Or you go to, say, social media, you get on, you start direct messaging.
Right.
Right. There's ways that you can reach out and let people know that you exist, because the biggest challenge real estate agents have is obscurity, right? That nobody knows them. Nobody knows they're out there. And even that people that might know you, they're not thinking about you either. So you got to be top of mind in order for them to reach out when the opportunity comes up. And so those seeds getting planted, I love your examples, Parveen, because it just goes to show all the agents that are out there that say, I don't know what to do. It's like, it doesn't even matter. Do what Parveen did. Go to the gas station, right? If there's other ways to do it, but there's no excuses really not to have the conversations. It's just getting out there.
I was just watching one of your podcasts, Mark. You mentioned one thing very good. Real estate business is simple, but it's not easy. It's very right. It's a very simple business. And sometimes I share this example with my team members too. Even any one of our admin who does not know anything about sales, if she goes to 100 doors in a day and asks them, do you want to buy or sell? Simple, just this question, no skill set, nothing. I can guarantee out of 100, 2-3 people will say yes for sure. 100%. Right?
Yeah.
Even simple this question.
Yeah.
If you want to buy or sell, somebody will definitely say yes. So it's a simple business, but it's not easy. I mean, even, Mark, even that time, a lot of people were suggesting me, oh, let's have this CRM system, that CRM system. I'm very simple, I still don't use much technology, to be honest with you. I'm very old school. I have my agendas. I write it down. All my agenda is in front of me when I'm in the office, right? I had used to have the notebook even when I was sitting at gas station. I was asking them, "Do you mind if I can get your phone number and name?" And I was writing down. When I go on door knocking, same thing, their name, phone number, and property address. Even right now, all my lead follow up or all those things are handwritten. I just look at that one and that's I follow. You don't need fancy things in this business, just the
Mm.
basic. Talk to people and you will get the business.
So that
That's
for the listeners out there, okay, this is not coming from some random Joe. This is coming from somebody that has sold billions and billions and billions of real estate sales, over 4,000 transactions. And so, Parveen, it reminds me of a good story that I was talking with one of our coaches in the past, and he was actually taking down notes. And the way that he was taking down notes, I was impressed by. And I'm like, I was starting to get like really caught up in when you're in meetings, like how do you document notes? Like what's your system for it? And I was asking these questions. He said, "Hey, Mark," he's like, "it doesn't matter how you do it. He's like, as long as you do it, as long as you
yeah,
do it." And I'm
that's the
like,
main.
huh. it 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 matters that you have a system or you have a way of doing it consistently. That's what really matters. Because if
That's right.
you're winging it, you're writing on little, pieces of papers, you're losing paper everywhere. That's not good. But for you, you have your notebook and there's a system that you've followed, I would imagine, over all these years. And so that notebook is what it goes with for you. And it works for you. And
Yes.
you have a system, I would think, on how you take your notes down in your notebook. Is that do you have a way of writing it down so that you
I
can
just
easily refer back to it?
Yes, what I do, Mark, I just put, it's a very simple thing. I just always make three lines in my agenda. The first one is the top priority, which I have to do today. The second one is the second priority. This is the third one. If I can do it, if I can't do it. Simple, very straightforward,
So
right?
smart.
And
Yeah.
I just
Smart.
write it down. These are the things I need to do. That's my priority. The second one I try to do. The third one, if I'm not able to do, I should delegate it. That's what I do every day.
There's genius in that system right there. I mean, that to me is like that's a highly sought after productivity hack right there. Is you write down your most important priorities. This is what Warren Buffett says. He says write down all your priorities that you have and circle the top three and focus on those. Ivy Lee. So Charles Schwab hired Ivy Lee to come in, and he said, "Listen, like, how am I going to pay you?" And Ivy Lee said, "Hey, listen, don't pay me anything, but once I'm done, based on the result that I get, you can pay me that amount." So Ivy Lee went in, he assessed, he said, "Okay," to all the managers, say, "Okay, this is what you're going to do." He's like, "You're going to write down the night before, you're going to write down everything that you need to do." Okay. And he's like, you're gonna go and circle and number the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. He said, when you come in the next morning, he's like, do the number one thing and do that until you're done, and then go to the number two. And then do that only until you go to number three and number four. And he went all the way down the list. He said, as long as you're working on your most highest priority and you have single focus on that one thing, you're doing your most valuable work. And so what's interesting is all the managers, they started implementing this at Charles Schwab. And what ended up happening a number of months later, Charles Schwab sent him a check at the time for like $10,000, which was like hundreds of thousands of dollars now. And he's like, I'm shocked with the productivity increase just by that simple hack. And so your system is actually, it does that, it's got its own method for that. But working on your number one priority and getting clear what that is, and why I like that you actually write it down, is it actually syncs up in your mind. Because when you
Right.
write it, it's different than typing it down. And so I really like that system that you follow. It makes a lot of sense why you're using it.
I marked, personally myself just do only two things, talking and just writing down my notes. I don't do anything else all day long. All emails, everything. I'm not a email guy, right?
Yeah.
Anything I have to do, I will just write it down or ask admin to send an email. Even, regarding the work, I'm very action oriented. I believe only in one thing. If you do some action, there will be some reaction for sure. You,
Yeah.
even if you do wrong, that's fine. Next time you will correct it, but take some actions, do some actions every day. That is
Yeah.
the main thing. When the COVID was here, so everybody was very scared. I was also scared. And Remax told me office is closed down, nothing will be happening. So I was the only myself going to the office, and my family was not happy with me too. Why you are going to the office? I said that's okay. If I die in the office. I'm okay with that. Nothing to worry about that, right? So I was going in the office, and nobody was there. I used to take some, tea, coffee with me and some snacks, and I was sitting there. I was doing two things whole day: calling people, or secondly, doing two meetings with the team members every day. That's it. And you won't believe it. In April, when COVID hit, we did 7 deals in that month. In May, we did 67 deals in after sorry in June. In June, we did 67 deals after a month and a half. And most of them came the people, the prospects I was talking to them during the month of April. Just calling people, that's all, nothing else. And I used to write it down their names on the notebook and just calling them and write it down. I need to follow up with this person after 1 week, after 2 weeks, and still I do the same thing.
Man, I could talk about this all day because there's so much wisdom and it's such a simple approach, yet it has such a profound impact on the business. And it in the industry is not really talked about a lot that if you just have more conversations, you're going to do better. And so the simplicity of what you're saying, there's wisdom in that. And so what I think the major issue with real estate agents is that even if you ask them how many hours they're working in general, a lot of them will say, I'm working 70 hours a week or 60 hours a week. I'm really busy. But if you ask them the second question, which is an eye opener, how many conversations have you had this week? Or how many conversations did you have yesterday? Because a lot of times they won't really know exactly in a week, but how many conversations did you have yesterday? It's like, well, I talked to one person.
Yes.
It's like, okay, were they thinking about, you just reached out to them? It's like, no, they called me. I was like, so what are you doing all those 60 to 70 hours? And you ask the question and they're like, well, and it's hard for them to justify or to explain exactly what they're doing. And what they're doing is they're going on the real estate board, they're looking at listings, they're looking at sales, they're doing market research, right? They're fiddling around with the CRM, right? They're maybe going to do a couple of tours in some of the properties, they're going on their agent open houses, and they're just not actually having the conversations. And so it reminds me of a story that the sales manager was working with a salesperson, and they had a meeting, and the meeting went, they said, okay, Mr. Sales manager, hey, I'm here and I'm not getting sales on the board. And then the sales manager says, okay, well, let's agree on a quota of what you're actually, how many conversations you're going to have this week. So the salesperson agrees to the number, and they leave the meeting, right? The agent or the salesperson goes out, and the next week they come and meet, and the manager says, okay, great. So how'd the week go? He's like, well, the salesperson goes, well, I couldn't get through to the decision maker. The receptionist wouldn't let me through. It was like, and my car broke down and this and that. And then the manager goes, oh, okay. Well, how many calls you make? And then the salesperson comes back and says, well, there's also my phone broke down, so I couldn't make any phone calls. And then the manager just says, whoa. He's like, you see this box? He goes, you see this box? The only thing that can, the only thing that can fit in there is a number. He said that a story won't fit in this box. And he says, oh, by the way, he's like, if you tell me what the number is, I'll know what the story is. If you tell me what the number is, I'll know what the story is. And so it paints such a good picture that, as agents, and I'm in this, I think we're all excellent storytellers. We can talk around anything. We can give excuses for anything. Okay. Salespeople are the best storytellers ever, but it's the number. It's the number at the end of the day that is the hard, cold truth that tells you if you're actually working. Right. And this speaks to why you've been so successful. It's so simple, but you're just having your numbers at the end of the week would be much, much greater than the average agent. And look, I mean, billions of dollars of real estate. So look at the results.
Right. And as I mentioned, Mark, I don't have any complicated system. I spent some time with Bob Proctor. So when I was with Bob Proctor, so he shared one thing. He was hired by one of the insurance company in USA, and they asked him how they can improve their sales. And he gave only one piece of advice to their salespeople: belly to belly, 9 o'clock in the morning. So means, you should be in front of your prospect. And I learned the same thing. If every morning, you are in front of the prospect, and if you are meeting them, there is no way you won't do the business. If you are meeting few people every day, end of the day, there will be some outcome from them. 100%, there is no way that you won't get any business. And even nowadays, Mark, what I do, doesn't matter whatever the market is, I just do only one thing. I'm a strong believer of action. I believe in one thing: take some action every day. Doesn't matter whatever the market is, end of the day, you will get something out of that.
Take some action every day. There's genius in that tagline there. If you know what they should do, Parveen, they should actually say, take more action, take some action every day, take action every day, take some action every day, and then have Parveen Arora signed under that, and it's like stick it up on their computer, get a little sticky note, and just do that every day. There's wisdom in that. And the action is the conversation.
That's right.
The action is not researching properties. The
No.
action is not moving one file to the other side of your desk, right? The action is not speaking to your coworkers. That's not the action is potential buyers or sellers. That's the action.
Absolutely. As I shared, Mark, even any non-sales background person, even if he asks 100 people in a day, guarantee there will be one or two will say yes to them. And one thing more I learned in this business, sometimes we think, oh, I should do this thing fancy, that thing fancy. There is no need for fancy things, in the sales. Sales is only one thing: just talk to them. Simple as that. Sometimes I share, even in my team meetings, there are a lot of people, they are much more capable than me. There are a lot of people, they are much more intelligent than me. There are a lot of people much more educated than me, right? But the only thing is who's taking action or who's not taking action. That's the only difference.
You said this earlier in the call, and I want to really underline something that I think is behind this. You said, even if a non-salesperson has 100 conversations, they're going to book a minimum of 2 appointments. Any non-salesperson, if they just have the numbers, do the numbers, they will get they'll get a potential buyer seller saying, yeah, I'm interested. And so this really speaks to the story that agents can tell themselves that, oh, I'm no good at this, or I can't do this, or I don't have enough sales background, or I don't have my listing presentation ready, or I'm not ready with my website yet, or I don't have my business cards ready yet. All of these stories, what you just said there, it eliminates that story completely, because if somebody is a non-salesperson, they don't have a business card, they don't have a website, they're just out there having conversations. And I think the number one reason why there are a couple people that will always say yes is the fact that people out there's like 5% of the population that's out there that is actually thinking about buying or selling a home, and they may not know somebody. And so if you catch them at the right moment, if they're out there, you just need to find them. If you catch them at the right moment, you are a solution to a problem that they have, and they don't want to go do all the research and do all the work to have to go find somebody. But if you're convenient, which is something that you offer, you're the convenient option. People love convenience, and very likely they're just going to say, yeah, okay, I'm willing to have another conversation. So I just want to like really underline, because you said it a couple times, and I think there's something behind that as why people say yes out of two, even if you're not a good salesperson. You're the convenient option.
Mark, there are so many different ways I got business. One time I remember I used to buy a small gifts. It used to be a store, I think, Tuzi Muzi in Mississauga. So when somebody was buying a house from me, I used to buy a small gift for them and giving to them. The sales guy who was working there at the counter. So I was going there all the time. And one day he asked me, Praveen, you are buying all the time gifts. So what you do? I said, I do real estate and I buy sell homes. And he told me, I'm getting married. I want to buy the house. You won't believe it, Mark. I did 4 transactions with that guy. And he still refers me the business at that Tuji Muji store. I still remember the name, right? So anywhere you go, if you do the conversation, one more thing, this year, on the Christmas time, I went to Vancouver and USA, Bellingham there to see my friends and my cousin. And during those days, I was meeting few people there too. We started the commercial segment as well. I got one hotel listing by meeting people over there. I just went to see some people there. Whenever you take some actions, something will happen out of that. There is no way nothing will happen from that. Maybe more, maybe less, maybe fast, maybe slower, but something will definitely come out of that. I am a strong believer of one thing. If you do door knocking today, doesn't matter, nobody gives you any response today, but there will be something will come out of that one, maybe after 6 months, after 1 year, or maybe after even 10 years, if you are continuously doing that.
Yeah, well said. Now, Parveen, we have agents out there, and this is actually right across the board. I think that there's like this invisible resistance out there in the world that makes it hard to get started doing anything, right? It's like, to me, it's like this invisible resistance that you just need to get started to get some momentum going, which once you get momentum, it becomes easy. What would you recommend for agents that are like, okay, I got to actually start making conversation. So I got to get through that initial, I'm going to push through and actually get started. I'm going to make that first phone call. I'm going to knock on that first door. I'm going to pick up the phone that first time. What advice would you give the listeners to actually take the action to get that first one in so that they can start to get some momentum to take the next one after that? What is some advice that they can get started?
I personally, Mark, feel, you should take consistent actions. And there are a lot of stories which happen, in my business career. And I do things consistently. I don't make changes. I started with Remax. Throughout my life, I never changed the company. I'm with the same office. I just moved in the new office when I built my own office, right? Once you do the things consistently, you will definitely get result. There is something else I would like to share. I'm going to the same haircut salon from last, I would say, maybe 22 years. And the lady who works there, she sold her house and they bought with me. I made, I think, more than 20,000 from that sales. And one day I was thinking, I didn't pay her even 20,000 in the last 20 years for the haircut, whatever I earned from there. So do things consistently and you will be amazed with the rewards, what rewards you will get from that consistency. The challenge is this: we start doing things. Let's say a lot of people, when they come in the business, they get excited and they will do door knocking. A lot of team members, they come with me. Oh, Praveen, we will do this, we will do that. Now, because I'm going through this all the time, I understand. I tell them, I will know within 6 months what you will do, right? And they start things and then they give up after a few months. because they expect immediately they should get the results. There is no immediate thing. You have to pay the price for those things, and if you are consistently doing the things, you will get the results. So even, I'm doing activity consistently, even the same activities, you don't need to invent the wheel every time. What I believe, if you master only one thing in this business, you will be way ahead of a lot of people. You don't need to master each and everything. Just master one thing in this business. Either, because one of the mentor, he told me, just keep in mind this business has only three things: prospect, present, and close. I personally believe even if you master one thing, you are good in one of them, you will be way ahead of a lot of people in this industry.
So one of the things that I've heard in the past is when you're calling a past client or you're calling a prospect, is like, I don't know what to say. So when you're calling people and having these conversations, how would something like that start? Like, how do you start a conversation to be able to call, not like, hey, I'm just calling to check in. Like, what are you saying to clients when you're reaching out? Maybe it's a past client that you're reaching out and you're building a relationship. Like, how do the conversations start off?
Most of my conversation are, let's say if I'm calling you, hey Mark, this is Parveen. Mark, I just want to remind you I'm still in the business, and that's how I start the conversation, right? And I always say that I'm still in the business, do you know anybody who want to buy or sell? Or if you want to buy or sell, very straightforward, simple conversation, because I am asking for the business and I ask them for the business. There is no hesitation to ask anybody for the business. And personally, what I believe, Mark, when you ask them, and sometimes even I ask them, Mark, I need your favor. I have some prospective buyers in this area. They are looking to buy a house in this area. Help me if you know anybody who want to sell. Mark, there are so many properties. Even I sold 4 times the same property, one after another. I'm getting the referral on those properties. And personally, what I see when I'm meeting anybody, I think if I do the right job and I'm doing the right things, I can get 4 5 transactions from this client in their lifespan. And some of the families, their second generation is also buying and selling with us, just by asking them this question. And what I feel, when you ask them, oh, I need your help, people feel much better. They want to help you as long as you are asking them.
So, what would you say to the agent that says, "I don't want to put anything on them," or "I don't"? It seems a little pushy asking for a referral. What would you say to that agent that says that?
I think they are doing a mistake. If they ask them, there are a lot of people. Even today, Mark, I sold someone's house. They moved to USA. They already gave us 2 referrals, and the third one he sent me today. The only thing what I'm doing, I'm just asking him and thanking him. I didn't even give him even a single dollar's gift or anything. I just sold their house and they moved to US. Just talking to him and just asking for the business.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
third referral he sent me today.
Well, congratulations. It's really good insight because at the end of the day, people don't get asked for help very often. Like when you ask them for a favor, hey, listen, like if you could do me a favor, or if I could get your help on this, we're looking for a home. We have a buyer that's looking in the area. If you can think of anybody looking to sell the home, that would actually really help us out. By just asking the question, people, they love to help. They love to help. And so this is like, to me, my overall thesis when I'm selling is not to get the sale. It's to move them one step past the sale where they're a raving fan and they send a referral over. The referral is the goal, and the referral only comes if they're a raving fan after the sale. So the sale is, in most agents' eyes, that's the end of the road. It's like, okay, I got the sale. See you later. I might give a closing gift, maybe a closing gift, but then they never hear from you again. You don't send them anything. There's no value add. The mission is to make them a raving fan and that they send you referrals. They
That's
already
right.
know, like, and trust you. You spend all the money. Those referrals are the best that's the best kind of business. That's your least expensive. And this is
Right.
another point: when you're spending money, it's like you spend all this money on lead generation. It's like, spend some money on your past clients, make them raving fans, But then the key is to ask, like what you said is genius, is you got to ask for it, because otherwise they don't know. And they're not like, they're busy with their own lives. They don't have like,
Yes.
I got to send Parveen business now, or I got to send, Fair's team, got to send them business. Nobody's thinking that.
No.
We can't assume that they're thinking that. You got to be top of mind and make it easy for them and ask them, so that when they have that next opportunity, it's top of mind. And if you don't do it, it's not very likely that you're going to be top of mind and they're going to be thinking about connecting the dots. In most cases, I found that clients think that you don't need more business,
That's right. It's a common thing. And
right?
believe me, Mark, what I feel, when you ask them, majority of them, they feel good.
Right.
Majority of
Yeah,
them,
that's true.
they feel
Yeah,
good,
that's
that
true.
he's asking us and we can help him.
That's so true. They feel good giving. They feel good
That's right.
giving to you.
It's not
Yeah.
like that they get upset or anything. Most of the time, oh, we don't know, but we will let you know. We don't know, we will let you know. But later on, after a while, you hear from them, oh, Praveen, this person want to sell the house. You can talk to them. And one thing more, Mark, one more thing I learned in this business, some of them, they have their own family members now, the realtors. When I'm talking to them, they tell me, Praveen, even today I was talking to somebody, he told me that their family member is a realtor, so he has to work with that family member, but he said, I can refer you somebody else. Even, let's say, even if they are not able to give their own business, still they give you something, they will refer you somebody. Less, some of them, they have their own
Yeah.
family member, brother, sister, or cousins in the business, so they cannot go out of them, but they will say, that's fine, but we will refer you the business.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I've done it in the past where they've come and they said, yeah, I have a brother in the business, or and I've basically said, hey, listen, like, that never hurts to get a second opinion. You can take that second opinion, you could share it with your brother. You don't try and handle the objection on the phone. You get face to face, you show them all the value you're delivering. And then, at the end of the day, they can start to compare. Oh, yeah, I'm getting way more value with you. And it's like, yeah, the beauty is with me is that if this isn't going well, you can fire me. It's like, it's hard to fire a family family
Family member. You're
family
right.
member, right? And it's so true, because I really believe that if they go with a family member, they're not going to get as much money as if they list with us, just with based on our marketing system that we sold tens of thousands of properties. But uh, the key there is to get face to face, and what you can even do is even offer to co-list it with
Yes.
their family member, or you'll send them a referral, their family member referral, which it helps somewhat with the relationship. So that's worked in the past as well. The client wins, the family member hopefully is okay with it. Maybe they're not super happy, but at the end of the day, the biggest thing is getting the most amount of money for the client. And if you can salvage that relation, maybe a co-list is even good. If they're really tight from a relationship standpoint. But you can imagine you get into a relationship with your family member, they're listing the home and they're just dropping the ball over the place. Like that's when the relationship goes sour. When they don't do a good job and they drop the ball and then they get less money for your home. Well, that's not something you can recover from.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So, Parveen, your agents that are starting today. So, what are some of the recommendations that when an agent maybe starts with you that you say in today's market to actually go out and generate business? Of course, you have a machine running, so you generate appointments for them as well. And so, but for the individual agents that are on your team, what advice would you give today to your agents when they come on and start working with you to generate business?
As I mentioned in the beginning, Mark, I learned one thing in this business, do daily activities every day. Every day. Either you get result or you don't get result, don't give up. If you are not getting result for 1 week, 2 weeks, after 3, 4 weeks, all of a sudden something will come out of that. Right? So it's a cumulative effect. Just continue your activities every day. And the biggest challenge, especially in this market, which I see, because we are not seeing the results, immediate results, not even immediate results, we are not seeing the results for a longer period of time of our activities, and we give up. And that's the mistake what we do. Even the COVID time, as I mentioned to you, Mark, last year or a year before, there were few weeks that we didn't do even a single transaction, but still we were doing the activities, and those activities not during that week but after a few weeks brought some results. I think daily activities continuously, that is the name of the game in this business.
Right.
And I believe one thing, just like a shopkeeper, if you don't open your shop every day, don't expect any customer is
Mm,
coming there. So any agent who's not doing any activity every day, he's not opening his or her shop,
mm,
they cannot expect any customer every day.
mm.
You
Yeah,
need to open your shop every day.
I like that analogy there with the store. You got to open up your store every day,
Every day.
and the time that you open is when you're having conversations with the buyer or seller. Yeah,
Absolutely.
potential buyer or seller. Yeah, that's good. I like that. All right, Parveen. So next question is changing gears a little bit here. So in this market right now, you have likely investors coming to you today. Uh, what kind of advice are you giving to your real estate investors in today's market, and what kind of direction are you pointing them towards? Interest rates are still a little higher, pricing still a little higher. What counsel would you give a real estate investor looking to say get a deal? They have some money they want to invest. What advice are you giving them today?
I personally think, Mark, this is the best market to invest. And the second thing is this for the investors, I learned in the past, even with my own investments, if you are just thinking this way, oh, today I invest and within 6 months money should be double, that's not the story, right? Invest and wait. If you have the capability to do that one, you will make money, doesn't matter whatever the market cycle is. So any investor who's investing in the real estate, they should have this thing in their mind, that they should invest and wait for some time. And I think this is the best market to invest, because the prices are down. There is already so many great options available in the market. If you invest today and if you can wait for 5 6 years, you can hold that property, there is no way that you won't make money out of that investment.
Yeah, no, that's really good. It's interesting, Parveen, that I've seen in when the market went up 30%, everybody thought real estate was the best thing since sliced bread. You could have bought at the top, and all your friends and family would be telling you, "Oh, real estate's a good thing. Oh, that's a good thing. That's great." But now, when you ask them, "Should I be buying or selling or buying a property now and investing in real estate?" the answer is not as encouraging.
Yes.
Well, what's interesting is that we're 30% lower on pricing now, and it
Yes.
depends which market you're in, but approximately 30%. It's like, but you're not getting that encouragement. The news is not encouraging you, right? And so I just find it really interesting. If the market goes up and it's at the top of the market, everybody's saying, yeah, all the council's getting, yeah, do it, do it, do it. It's good. But then when it drops, when everything's on sale, you're just not getting that same encouragement. So my suggestion, which is exactly what you're saying here as well, is when the market drops, everything's for sale.
Yeah.
Like start buying, buy
Yeah.
real estate, especially in a
That's
down
right.
market when there's uncertainty like this. This is a very, very smart thing to do, to be buying. And if you're so agents that are listening, one of the biggest regret that I hear real estate agents say on an ongoing basis is, I wish I would have bought more real estate 10 years ago.
Absolutely. Mark, one time, because I was working with a lot of builders too, I think that gentleman's used to work with Green Park. And I got a call from him because in Brampton we do a lot of activity. He called me and he said, Praveen, I want to sell my property. He himself is a real estate agent. He used to work with Green Park and he had a brand new house from that builder, and unfortunately he got sick. So that's why he was considering to sell it. He said, I saw you are active in the area. If you have any buyer, so let me know. I want to sell my property. That was the brand new house. I went to see him in Woodbridge. He was not feeling good that time, and I was sitting with him. We talk about property and I asked him, I said, give me one piece of advice, because you spend so much time in the industry, you working as a salesperson, then you work with the builders, right? And you know what advice he gave me, Mark? He said, son, because he's old, that time. So he said, son, you are good in selling real estate, but the real money is not selling real estate. Real money is in buying real estate. Start buying real estate. That was the advice he gave me.
Yeah. Wisdom. That's so good. So good. Buy more real estate. You can make
Yes.
millions of dollars selling it, but
Yes.
at the end of the day, you got to pay tax on that, and then you're going to be living. But when you start taking money off the table, take money off the table. Like the millionaires that started with me with nothing, that are on my team, they started with me with nothing, and they did really well, and they've done really well in sales, but they became millionaires because they were taking some money off the table and they're investing along the way. I'm like, keep investing in real estate, and they did, and now they're millionaires. And so it's very hard to just make money in real estate, stick it into a bank, or even in stocks, for example, because you don't have any leverage with that like you do with real estate. And to become a millionaire, that becomes very, very hard. Whereas with real estate, you can leverage something 4 to 5 times greater. And if the market goes up by 10%, or you put down 20%, all of a sudden your 20%, say you buy a $1 million property, you put $200,000 down, the $1 million property goes up by 10%. Well, you just made 100 grand. Well, you didn't make 10%. You made 50% on your 200,000. And so this is where that's the power of leverage that becomes very hard to, we'll say, compete with that. And so the more that you do it, and I've talked with lots and lots of agents that are millionaires, and they all invest in real estate. They do it. So listen, even if you're like, I don't even want to, we'll say, look after tenants, I don't want to do it, no problem. Like, this is actually one of the reasons, Parveen, that we started this real estate investment firm, is because there's more and more people that are super busy that just, they don't want to deal with the landlord tenant board. They don't want to deal with tenants. They just want to focus on their business. And so what we did, we created this this machine, pretty much, that we can actually go buy these 100-unit apartment buildings down south in high emerging markets, and they can invest passively into these deals and get 20% plus returns through leverage. And so they come in and partner with us. And so regardless, there's ways to invest in real estate, whether it's you do it yourself or you invest with somebody, a reputable group that will help you get to that next level. The key is to pull money off the table and do it along the way, because wealth needs time. Money needs speed. Like, as a real estate agent, you need speed. You need like more conversations, but wealth takes time, and it's about doing it consistently over a long period of time.
No, I saw, Mark, you are doing a wonderful work. One time I was in Tampa, I went to see your office there too.
Oh,
I
we
think you
saw
have
the building.
office. Yeah, I
Yeah.
went there, and I was there in Tampa. So I was not exactly sure which one is that. I Googled the address and then I just went there too. And you are doing wonderful things. I think you are absolutely right. People should invest in real estate and wait, because
And wait.
if they are thinking overnight they will make money, that is not the case.
Yeah.
And even, let's put this way, I don't own a big real estate, but I can still tell you, whatever I have right now with me, that's not from the real estate commission. That's all from the real estate investments, what I did.
It's so that's exactly, for same with me, same story. We've made millions of dollars through the years selling real estate, but where we made all of our wealth, it was all in real estate. It's all real estate. And here's the thing, even business owners, you know how many I've talked to? Because I love asking that question that you asked the Green Park owner. They're smart. What's one piece of advice? By the way, if you meet somebody really strong in business, ask them, like, what advice can you give me? And then if you implement what they tell you. That's a great question. Curiosity is such a great trait of top producers. Okay, it's so consistent. So if you're listening, ask the question to really smart people. And so the number one consistent thing that I got when I was asking that question, Parveen, was when I sold the business, the building was worth more than the business down the road. So they spent their whole lives building their business, whatever it was. They sold it, but the building The building was worth more than the business. So they said, whatever business you're in, buy the building, buy the building. Make sure you buy the building. Don't lease the building, buy the building. And so that's when that was one of the reasons why I've been hunting for an office actually in Barrie, just north of Toronto. We couldn't find a really good building, so I went to Park Place's big developer, and we bought this corner lot on one of the most prestigious corners. And it took me 5 years to develop it. We went through site plan approval, and we went through severance, and we built this. Initially, it was a 23,000 square foot building. I'm like, I'm going to get my team there, and we need 23,000 square feet. And then what happened was COVID hit, and we're like, oh, we're doing more online. We don't need 23,000 square feet. So we said, okay, we're going to do 15,000. We're going to do a plan. We're going to do site plan. We're going to get approved for phase 2, which is going to go into 23, and we're going to rent out that space. We went to 23,000 to 15,000 to 10 to 5. So now we have 5 up. We're renting the lower level, but then we have phase 2 that we're going to be building down the road when we believe it's the right time. But we have the corner lot, we have the real estate there, and we have the team. So that whole journey going down that path was because I got that same, I got that advice from lots of business owners through the years, is like, buy the building. So real estate, kind of the moral of the story here is just start buying more of it. And ideally, if you can buy something that cash flows, I mean, that's, Robert Kiyosaki would be very proud of you. It's like, buy something for cash flow and upside if you can find it. But bottom line is get into real estate, hold it for the long term, and you're going to do just fine.
I always tell my clients, I tell them, when we are working together, the biggest advantage which you can get from me, not 0.5% commission here and there. That's nothing. What I can share with you, what I learned in this business in the last 20 years, where to buy and what to buy, and buy that one. That is the real advantage which you can get it from me, not just buying or selling your house. Some of my clients, Mark, they bought real estate with me. I don't think so I will be able to make, even in my lifespan, that much money what they made
Yeah.
from those investments which they
Yeah.
bought. I won't be able to make that one in my lifespan. And
It,
what they made from those investments which they bought with me.
It's smart. It's so smart. And it's like blue ocean strategy. It's like, oh, they bought and sold. They're not going to buy and sell again for years. But bottom line, like, same thing through the years. We've had countless home sellers and buyers. They would have maybe 500 grand that's on a home equity line of credit, just sitting there. They're paying like a low interest rate on that. I'm like, listen, let's go buy an investment property. Like, pull equity out of your house. You can go buy an investment property. That money that you're pulling from your house, you're going to be paying interest on that. You can write off that interest on your principal residence if you pull it for an investment property. And so, like, you pull it, you buy this property, we're going to get a good deal on the buying side, and you're going to be able to write off the interest from your principal residence. And like, this is a slam dunk. And so millionaires have been made just by that one tactic. You got equity in your house, go buy a second property. Now you got 2 properties appreciating. And like, we've seen it where it's like, okay, they got 2. It's like, okay, let's go for a third one. And then when you got 3 of them working, it's easier to get ahead. Then you got like 3 incomes coming. You got your business, you got your spouse's business or income, and then you got 3 other producing assets that are and you could now you got 3. It's like, oh, we got extra equity. We can go do it again and again. And it's like, there's magic in that simple approach. It's just, you got to have somebody encouraging you. And if you're listening to this, you have clients that are sitting there with equity that can actually purchase and get into more real estate. And you want to be a hero? That's what Parveen, you're talking about. Is like, you're probably the hero for those people that made all those millions of dollars buying with you investment properties.
Mark, you were surprised to hear that yesterday I met somebody. They want to sell their house. So they called me and I went to see him. And I asked him, how much outstanding mortgage you have on the property. He said, Parveen, is paid off. I said, great, congratulations. So you are the lucky one. You know what was his answer? He said, Parveen, I did a big mistake. I said, what's that? He said, I paid off this property. I would have buy another house rather than paying off this property. I would be much better off that time, this time.
So good.
Yesterday's story.
Wow.
His house is paid off. He want to sell it now. And he said, I would have bought something else with this property, rather than paying it off.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's real live feedback there in 2025. So, I mean,
Yesterday's,
go ahead.
no, I said yesterday it happened,
Yeah,
I went to
yeah,
see
it's
him.
crazy. That's good insight. Good insight for sure, especially in today's market as well. It's like, you know what, that's real feedback from somebody. And I think it's good. We listen to that. And, at the end of the day, I do think if you pay your property off, like, it is a check mark. It is a definite, that's wonderful to say, yeah, I paid and there's peace of mind knowing you own your house. So there's value in that for sure. But if you only have one house and all your money is tied up in that one house, it's like, would it make sense to maybe take a portion? Don't get too over leveraged. Maybe you get a mortgage at 50% and you have 50% equity and go buy maybe one or two more properties. You manage those really well. You've now been able to like double or triple the amount of hard workers that are going to work with you. And I just think that overall, that approach, I've just seen it over the year work year after year after year after year. And they keep doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Parveen, we could keep going on here. We're past the time, but I just felt that, the conversation we were having, there's just such wisdom and insight in that. So are you ready for the rapid fire part? I got 3 quick questions here for you.
Sure.
All right. Which book has had the biggest impact on your business or wealth creation?
Think and Grow Rich.
Good. Napoleon Hill.
I read a few times that book. I read quite a few other books as well, but that's the one I read.
That's great. Well, the listeners, they know that's definitely a fave on the channel here. So that's great. You're in good company. Second question, how would others describe you in 3 words?
Disciplined, consistent,
Sorry.
hard work.
Okay, say that again. Consistent, hard work. And what was the first one?
Discipline.
Say that again.
Discipline.
Discipline. Got it. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Well, I think after listening to the show here, I think most people would probably agree with you on those three words. All right. So what advice would you give your younger self? Or maybe we'll just say, maybe it's an agent that's out there listening. They want to take their business to the next level. Or perhaps it's an agent that's getting into the business. Other than be consistent, because I know that's been a theme. Is there any other advice that you would give an agent out there that wants to take their business to the next level?
I think personally, Mark, don't complicate things, just keep it simple and master anything in your life. Just master one thing, whatever you want, right? If you are a lawyer on that profession, if you are good on that, you make tons of money, right? I just want to say one thing. I have one client, they have a cleaning company, Mark. And if I share the house which they built, you will be amazed to see that. Just master something. Doesn't matter, it's a cleaning company, it's a real estate, it's any kind of business or anything you do. Just master that. Be good on that. That's all.
Keep it simple, master that thing, and you'll do just fine. That's great advice. Great advice in a very complex world, for sure. So, Parveen, how can the listeners get a hold of you? So you work in the Brampton, Mississauga area. Can you let the listeners know if they say they want to send you a referral, or whether it's a buyer or seller, what's the best way they can reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, they can. My office is in Mississauga, Mark, on Derry and McLaughlin in Mississauga. Obviously, they can Google us, and I would really appreciate if I get any opportunity or any referral from anybody to work with them. And just beside the referral, one more thing I will like to say: any realtor who's new in the business, if they want, they can call me anytime if they need any help regarding the business. And on the top of that, Mark, I do 3 meetings every day in my office: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we have all the team. Any agent want to join that meeting, they can come and join our meeting, and they can see what we talk and what we do.
That's smart. That's great. That's great, Parveen. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show here and appreciate all the wisdom that you shared. There was a lot of it.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me over and giving me the opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, right on. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you like the show, please share and subscribe to the channel where we're building a community of full-out real estate agents. And by the way, if you are thinking about referring a client to the Barrie area, so you're north of Toronto, anywhere north of Toronto, so Barrie, Simcoe County area region, if you're looking to refer a client to the area, you can reach out to us, faristeam.ca, and we'd be happy to help anywhere north of Toronto on that end of it. Just remember, the fastest way to build your wealth is to grow your real estate business and to invest into it as well. I love you guys and keep on going full out.